Hey, you guys, what's up? Are you still on a, this looks kind of crazy. Are y'all still on a high from yesterday's inauguration and Kamala? I think I still am because I rock girls all the time. But I don't have on Chucks today. I had on Chucks yesterday, but I own a lot of Chucks. So um, I'm feeling the whole look. And I was so um, just proud of how we have this silent code as women to support one another. As I scrolled through my social media feeds yesterday and saw so many women of every age, background, ethnicity, rocking pearls and chucks to show solidarity. That girl, we with you, we got you, because it was quite a momentous occasion. So now that I got that out of the way, because I didn't get to go live yesterday, let's get into what I want to get into. So normally at the beginning of every year, I teach a class around my first written work, which is called the Power Playbook. It's a workbook. It's actually on Amazon for $4. So I lowered the price recently, or you can go to our website and grab one. It's not $4 on the website because it's way more work to print it myself than if Amazon does it. But I teach a class based on this Power Playbook that I wrote. And it's called Power Playbook, 7 Power Plays to Design Your Ideal Life. And the point of me writing it when I wrote it a few years ago was that I realized that everyone couldn't afford a coach and everyone couldn't afford to have a strategic planning session with me. And so I wanted to create something that was kind of a coach in your hand. And I designed curriculum around it. And like I said, normally this time of year, I teach it and I teach it in person for a cost. But last week in prayer and meditation, I just decided like, yo, teach the class live for free this year. And because people still need the information. And so that's what we're going to do. So there's going to be some reading with this. There's going to be some homework with this. You're getting Coach Sean for the free 99. And I just hope it blesses some people. And I hope that it makes your 2021 better, because I called it the Power Playbook for a reason, because on so many occasions, we want to do powerful things in our life and we want to create powerful things, or we have powerful ideas, or we've even created something powerful, but we don't design a playbook on how we're going to actually execute those plans. We don't set strategy for how we're going to walk it out. And we feel lost. And for some, we put the cart before the horse, because I coach so many individuals. Power Hour, $99, ends next week. Better get in where you fit in. Shameless plug. For so many individuals that I coach, unfortunately, they're not even ready to actually create a playbook yet. Like they're still in the ideation phase, which there's nothing wrong with that. I spent many, many years in the ideation phase before launching out into the deep, and preparation time is never wasted time. So, I tell clients all the time, like, nobody's rushing you but you. And it's not to say we're going to live forever. And I realize we could die tomorrow, but you only get one chance to make a first impression. You only get one chance to do things right. So instead of like slapping some things together, I know they say use what you have, use what's in your hand to get where you want. And yeah, to a certain extent, but can what you have not be janky? Like, can I use the word janky right now? And so when I first started the Power Network, I created the logo myself on an app. I self-funded the first event. I went to Office Depot and printed flyers. I did it myself. However, I made sure that I did it to the best of my ability. And that's my point, is like, let's not just slap some things together and call it a day. And I was more concerned about the strategic rollout of how things will look out for future tense and what success looked like at the end. Because how we start is often how we finished. And so we started really strong. Our 5-year anniversary is coming up from that very unforgettable day that I booked the venue and expected about 75 women to show up. The venue could probably fit 120, and over 500 women showed up. They literally poured out of the room. I'm sure I'll post the pictures on the anniversary when the memories come up. They sat on the floor. They stood up against the walls. People drove from all over, from different states. They couldn't even get in the building. And it was not ticketed. It was free. I just paid for it. And I was just overwhelmed with gratitude for how it was received. And I remember the next day, we just coincidentally had lunch planned with Pastor Skip and Pastor Melva Henderson, two of our mentors. And she said, that's God, like that's purpose. Like when you step into your purpose, that's how he shows up. And I'll never forget being blessed to have that. And by the way, she's gonna be on the radio with me on Monday, I think around 8ish. So, I'm on WGLB every Monday morning from 6 to 10. You can tune in to WGLBradio.com, or you can, if you're local to Milwaukee, FM 96.1 or AM 1560. Also, if you have the TuneIn app, they are there. But yeah, Pastor Melvin and I are going to be on Monday talking about fear, because to me, nobody teaches about fear like she does. Okay, so let's jump into this playbook. That's all my intro. That's my stand-up. Let me know who out there. Hey, Keisha. Who else out there? Let me get some heys. Can we get some hoes? Can we get some, not hoes, but like, hey, ho, like y'all know hip hop. Like, let me clean that up. That didn't sound too good. Also, what else is coming up? Next week is the MKE Business Now Entrepreneurial Summit. And it is going to be virtual this year. Alderwoman Malele Coggs does that event every year. Hey, and she has asked me to moderate the panel this year of business owners. So I'm excited about that. It will be broadcast next week on the 30th, but we're actually recording it tomorrow. So super excited about that. And let me get into this because I do have a coaching client coming in. You laughing at me because look, that was a slip up. That was a Freudian slip. I had to clean that up real fast. Like, okay. So in the introduction to my Power Playbook, if you don't have it or if you haven't read it in a couple of years, I tell a very transparent story. It actually was the first time I told this story. Hey, Gabriella, I hope your package for class makes it in time to Texas. If not, hopefully you got my note yesterday saying what to do. So I said around my 30th birthday, I woke up and decided to completely blow up my life. I mean, and that's just bottom line, the truth. I was married. I had the boys. I had a really, really, really good husband. I'm not going to front. I'm not going to front his life at all. He's an excellent husband, excellent father, spoiled me rotten. Hey, Camille, he was 7 years my senior. And a lot of times he felt very controlling, and it felt like I was with my dad because we had been together since I was 19. And now in my mid 40s, I realized he was just being a man and he was trying to lead his household. But us cocky women, especially, I was real successful real fast. I kind of skyrocketed. And so if you don't have it by tomorrow, Gab, then just go out and do what I said in the email yesterday. Anyway, I just decided like I didn't want to be told what to do or how to spend my money, or I wanted to pick my own cars and my own houses and things like that. And not to say that houses and the cars that he was picking wasn't nice. It was just sometimes we just got to be careful, like and be in a place of gratitude, because like there'll be blessings all around us, and we so busy worried about what we don't got or what we can't control that we're not appreciating what's happening that we're not having to even worry about. So that's the lesson in that. So I said around my 30th, so that's how I blew up my life. I was happily married with 2 healthy children. I had a nice suburban home, a beautiful car, a stable, well-paying career. Life was calm. It was normal. It was comfortable, but I was bored as hell. And that's what I say in the book. And I think that had a big thing to do with it too. I've learned as I've gotten older and learned more about myself. That self-talk that I don't like monotony. I don't like boredom. I do what I do for a living, and I even did what I did for a living in corporate America when I changed careers after this time. So I would not know what to expect on any given day. I thrive off of pressure. I thrive off of things almost, I call myself a chaos coordinator because I almost thrive off of chaos. And just some of us are just wired that way. It's boring. I couldn't be, I couldn't have a job where I came in, I did the same thing every single day over and over again. I would be like it'd be over for me. I said, I had everything everyone said you're supposed to have, yet there was a huge void that I just couldn't feel. And this is around the time Solange Knowles dropped this album. So I said, in my Solange Knowles voice, Cranes in the Sky voice, I tried to drink it away, shop it away, sex it away, but nothing helped. I was crying daily, barely sleeping, and exhausted from faking happiness. Now, you have to think this was 15 years ago. Mental health awareness was not what it is today. So 9 times out of 10, I was depressed. And I should have just went to therapy, but instead I went to divorce court. And so again, we grow and we learn. And we went to counseling at our church, which no shade to the pastor who counseled us, but just know that majority of pastors have not been trained in mental health, and they are not therapists. And so they can give you an amazing word from God, but that don't mean that they can help you deal with your trauma or whatever it is on the inside of you that you're dealing with. And what I realize is, now through having gone through therapy is that there were times in my childhood that I didn't feel like I had a voice in, what I wore, what I did, what I did. My mom, love her immensely. You guys know that, but she was grooming me and preparing me to be who I am. And so, but because of that, coming from her house into my husband and my home, it just felt like, well, man, when am I ever going to decide what I want to do with my life? And so that's when I decided. So I said, now I'm not sharing this to advocate blowing up your life, but I'm sharing this to say we can have everything the world thinks we should have and still feel unhappy and unfulfilled. I spent my entire 20s acquiring and accomplishing all the things society told me I should have, but it just wasn't enough for me. And what I didn't realize was purpose was bubbling on the inside of me. The PowHER Network was bubbling on the inside of me. My daughters, who would eventually come through my second marriage, were bubbling up on the inside of me. I was called to do more, be more. In retrospect, I wish I had slowed down and taken time to read a book like this, or at least talk to a mentor, coach, or therapist that could guide me through the process of what happens when you approach the crossroad of true purpose, because I do believe that's what happened. But instead, I went through an ugly divorce. Ooh, yeah, cost me so much money, Jesus. Thank you, Lord, that these kids are adults. Done paying. And I accumulated almost $100,000 in credit card debt because that was my coping mechanism. I would go on Michigan Avenue or Fifth Avenue or Rodeo Drive or Las Vegas. And they knew, like, champagne ready. And a lot of the things you guys see me with now that you're like, man, she be spending some money on some high-end stuff. Man, I bought that stuff then. It's just accumulating in value, So it was absolutely ridiculous what I did. I cleaned out $250,000 in hard-earned savings. Wasted precious time entertaining the wrong men. I ended up with my homes foreclosed, my cars repossessed, and lost everything. And, and there's a saying, and I forgot which pastor said, I think it's Tony Evans. It's like, God will let you hit rock bottom so you can realize that he's the rock at the bottom. And, people look, they see, and Maya Angelou says, people see your glory, but they don't know your story. And there is not one thing that a woman could go through in a relationship or a mistake that most people have made that I haven't made. Like, don't let the pearls fool you. Don't let the brand fool you. I'm human and I've made a lot of mistakes, but I move in this place of gratitude and forgiveness. I'll never forget, going through a really hard time and saying to Pastor Melva, she getting a lot of shout outs today, that I just can't seem to forgive myself for some of the decisions that I made. And she said, where in the Bible does it tell us to forgive ourselves? Jesus did that for you. And so if you're not a believer, but I apologize, you may not understand that anecdote, but it really blessed me because I was putting that kind of pressure on myself. I said, however, it was in the process of losing everything that I found my true power, purpose, and happiness. So this playbook is designed to coach, inspire, and position you on your journey towards purpose, greatness, and fulfillment. I now realize that I painfully walked, crawled, climbed, cried, and worked through the 7 plays described in this book so I can help other women do the same. I hope my writing allows you to do it more strategically and with a lot more grace than me. And so what I realized when I started the PowHER Network is, had I not gone through any of those things, you ever meet somebody and you're like, yo, you are crazy. Like, you ain't never been through nothing. And so they can't relate, because it's hard to relate to something that you have never experienced. It's hard to tell somebody how to get somewhere when you've never been there yourself. But when you know that you have come home to the foreclosure sticker on your house, when you know that you have come out of work and been like, where my car at? When you know you have looked at your bank account and went, where my money go? Yet you're making well into 6 figures a year. So you're just basically being irresponsible because you're depressed. Like, that's really what it was. Like, it wasn't that I didn't have the money to pay the bills. It wasn't that I didn't have the money to do it, but I'd rather go buy Louis Vuitton. I'd rather go buy Chanel pearls. I'd rather go buy Louboutins, like, because that's how I was coping. And so one of the most important things that I've learned as I've gotten older is to, I posted a picture of me at the gym earlier. And, that serotonin, the dopamines, all of the chemical brain functions that give us a rush and make us feel happy, and all of those things, like happiness is an inside job. And so this morning I actually woke up feeling pretty pressed. And I was like, okay, I can sit here and feel pressed, or I can go work this thing out. And I just went and moved. And so that was like the best thing that I could do to realign my mind, body, spirit, and day. And I start every day praying, and I even prayed during the workout. But I will tell you this, prayer does change things, but it don't always change them immediately. And it doesn't always change your mood immediately. I'm gonna just keep it all the way 100 with you, because, we live in this world where people will get, well, oh, you just need to pray. Faith without works is dead. So, like, yeah, prayer is super duper 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 important. And it is a critical cornerstone of my life. But sometimes it takes a minute for that prayer to come through. And in the meantime, anxiety, depression, stress, etc., will still be there while you waiting on that prayer to come through. So in the meantime, how you cope, how you deal with yourself and your low points will really define what happens when you get back to your high points, and how and learning the lessons in that too. And so what I can say is, I wrote this playbook and I proudly share my testimony because I've learned the lessons in them. And so having learned the lesson in it and having done the work to understand how I got there and how I will not get there again makes things better. Yeah, that fear factor, man. So play 1 in the book is deciding. It's I'm gonna decide her, of course, because y'all know I conjugate anything in ends in ER with HER. And it says, everything that happens or doesn't happen in your life starts with the decision. And so, it's incumbent upon all of us to decide. We have to decide that we're going to be our authentic selves. We have to decide to be happy. We have to decide to be thankful. We have to decide to be healthy. Everything starts with the decision. Everything. Like, you have to decide for yourself. Not what mom and them said, not based on the environment around you, but you have to decide for yourself. So I'm going to assume, I said in the book, I'm going to assume if you picked up this book that you decided during the process that you want more out of life. I'm going to make that same assumption if you're watching this live. I'm 18 minutes, 50 seconds in, y'all still watching. So you decided that it was worth your time. You decided that you don't want to be important. You don't want to just be important, but you want to be significant. And I want to dive into that sentence because that sentence means so much to me, because there are a lot of people in this world that are focused on being important. They're focused on being famous. I remember I had a very wealthy client ask me, do you want to be rich or do you want to be famous? And I said to him, well, why can't I have both? Like, Beyonce rich and famous, Oprah rich and famous, the Obamas are rich and famous. But as years have gone by, and even with the little tiny itty bitty piece of notoriety that I have, I realized what Puffy meant when he said more money, more problems. And I also realized that comes with the cost of putting yourself out to the public. You know, people like say, I'm a public figure, I'm a public figure. And it's like, I wouldn't necessarily call myself a public figure, but I do things like this that put me out in the public. And so then it's not uncommon for me to, you know, be moving around a city as small as Milwaukee, the one that I live in. And that's being significant, Camille. And for people to not even know my name, but say, hey, you're Power. Oh my God, I watch you. Oh my, like you know, and so like the videos usually get a few thousand views. And so I don't know all those people. And so I put some real transparent stuff out here. So, you know, I got to make sure it's right. So you decided you don't want to just be important. You want to be significant to those closest to you, significant to the world around you. Congratulations on making that decision. Congratulations on making a decision. Deciding to get out of bed every day. If that's the decision, if your decision is I'm just going to make it through the day, that's a good decision to make. Like, so that is super important. Deciding is play one. Deciding is step one. Deciding is what separates the wishers from the doers. I had to decide to quit corporate America. It hasn't been 5. So it's been 3 years ago that I quit my job. The first 2 years I worked the day job and the PowHER network. And so we're coming up on our 5-year anniversary as a company, and I had to make a decision. And I'll never forget making the decision to tender my resignation at a job that treated me so well, that paid me so well, at a company that in this area that most people are dying to get into. And so it was a tough decision, but it was a decision that I needed to make. And I can't say my husband, my mother, my father, my family, anybody understood those decisions. But when you know that there is something on the inside of you bigger than you, it's almost like, for those of you who've had babies, when you dilate and you get to 10 centimeters, you can't make a decision not to push. The baby coming. like if you at that place and you're having a traditional birthing experience, because trust me, with my first baby, I was like, yeah, I ain't gonna push. I don't know if this thing gonna go back to what it used to be. This is a little scary to me. He 22 now, so it's funny. But I remember thinking that in my mind. And I remember having to have a self-talk with myself, like, yo, women been doing this since Eve. You gonna be all right. Gonna push this baby out. But even if I would have decided I didn't want to push him out, my body was doing something that I didn't have no control over. And I actually was doing more harm than good to him and me by not letting what was on the inside of me be pushed outside of me. And that's the same thing that we do with our purpose. Like, you will feel sick. You will feel like there is something on the inside of you trying to claw its way out. And what are you going to do about it? Like, what are you going to do about it? And I just got to a place that it had to come out. The baby had to be birthed, and it had to be a tangible thing in the earth. And that is what the PowHER network is. And that's why I call it the 5th heartbeat. So now what? You made some decision. You decided you wanted to do something significant. How do you decide what that something is? You know, I coach people every day that are like, you know, I want to do this. I want to do that. I'm gifted in this. I want to do that. I want to do this. But I'm not sure where to start. I'm not sure if it's smart. I'm not sure how to monetize it. I'm not sure on so many things. And so that's what strategic planning is about. That's what PowHER Hour is about. It's about me coming in as a thought partner, as someone who is well-versed in organizational development and scale, and saying, like, okay, what is success? Like, what is the end game? Like, what is the end goal? Like, God didn't put limits on our imagination for a reason. Like, what is, like, my end goal is to leave a legacy. I want the PowHER network to live like Apple, like Walt Disney. Like, I'm long gone and my kids are still evolving the brand. Like, that is what I'm focused on building. And so when I ride around the city and I see, you know, from politicians to restaurants to business owners, large, small corporations, et cetera. And I know that churches, ministries, et cetera, that my fingers are on that. When I see billboards, signage, verbiage, and I'm like, I wrote that copy. I created that look. I helped that person walk into the fullness of everything that they were meant to be. That's the legacy. And so now it's about training up another set of leaders to continue the legacy, including my children, including the heartbeats. And so where do you start? How do you make time first, yeah, and it's make time. Like, we never have time for anything. Like, I don't have time for nothing. People are like, I know you're so busy. I know you're so busy. Absolutely, I am. But certain things, like, I just have to make time for. I had to make time to work out this morning. I didn't have time, truth be told, and I was running to my Zoom meeting that happened immediately after, and I was in the shower like. And look, and my body came out, and whatever this hair was gonna do, this is what you gonna get today. And luckily I had already set my clothes out the night before and things like that, and I do my mental run throughs of things, and then I had to get to the office, and here I am, and my next appointment's at 2, so keep going. So how do you know where to start, and if what you decided is even right? These are all amazing questions. These are questions any of us should ask ourselves when we're starting our quest towards any life changes, especially as we focus on living a life of purpose. And so a lot of times people don't give themselves a running start, and they don't give themselves time. They rush it. They hear one word, they see one idea, they see somebody else making money doing something, and they run it. They off it to the races running. And it's like, preparation time, like I said earlier, is not wasted time. And so why not become a master at your craft? Why? And I'm not talking about analysis paralysis, where people are so busy analyzing what the right thing to do is that they don't actually move, because leaders move. And so this is not giving you permission to think about it for a couple more years. But it's like, once you know that baby's ready to crown, and you know that you are the one. Because here's the thing, using that analogy, if I was able to overcome my body's desire to push and not pushed Michael out, that's my oldest son, he would have died. It was time. He would have died. So Les Brown always says the most expensive place in the world is the cemetery, because that's where all the dead ideas are. That's where all the dead businesses are. That's where all the dead life-changing moments are. And so here's the thing. When I leave this earth, I want to be used up in every way, shape, or form. And for those of you that are like, I don't want to be used, well, then you're useless. And so I want to be used up, but I want it to be used up strategically. I want to be used up in a way that I can monetize it, that I have profits, that I'm growing a business, that my kids can inherit. And so, hey, it's ready to come. You see the crown. I love it, Terrell. And so these are questions you should ask, and your life will be richer for doing so. The most important thing that I did before I launched was shut out the noise. You have to shut out the noise. You have to stop asking everybody what they think. You got to stop telling everybody what you planning. You got to stop looking for this opinion and that opinion. Most of the time you're talking to people who they ain't even birthed theirs yet. And so they giving you all these ideas rooted in fear, or they giving you all these ideas. One of my mentors who I love dearly, Robert Powers, if you're watching this, I love you. But he done fussed at me from day one about the fact that men need, like, I don't know why you named it PowHER. Men need what you teach too. Well, guess what? I got plenty of male clients, and they pay well. And me naming my company PowHER and making my logo pink, look, as they used to say, there was a play when I was little that came to the Regal Theater in Chicago that called One Monkey Don't Stop No Show. And I know that's a cliche also. So one monkey don't stop no show. So just because that is the path that was chosen, it doesn't stop men from coming. And real talk, when I started the company for women by women. It's kind of like when Beyonce did her all-girl band. Like, we are living in, look what happened yesterday with Kamala. And I saw it coming as a strategist, as a marketing person. I always tell that story, like, the first time they made a Smurf movie, and it was all about Smurfette, and then they found a whole village of other Smurfettes. I looked at, and this is crazy, but this is how my mind works. I looked at my kids like, yo, this is a big deal. Like, we grew up with Smurfette just being just the chick. She wasn't that smart. I was like, they done made her smart. They done made her powerful. She done saved village, and then all of a sudden, Captain Marvel came out. And then all of a sudden, Black Panther came out with all of these women. And then Wonder Woman got revamped. And so if you look at everything that's happening, and you can always watch what's happening in the media, in movies, etc., to see. If you look at the kids' clothes, when you like look at the girls' clothes, look at what they're saying. Like, we have entered The future is female. Everybody's acknowledging it now. Like, so own it. Be powerful. And so personally, I initially found myself really frustrated during this deciding process. Let's just keep it 100. Because like most of us, I'm good at a lot of things. So how do I narrow that down? Like, how do I figure that out? One of the things that I decided, and I share this when I coach clients, is Chantel McKenzie is a holding company. And I've worked for some really large corporations, and I don't know any of them that only have one stream of income. They are constantly innovating and evolving and figuring out different ways to serve their target audience. So they don't stray away completely. And most venture capitalists I know and people that invest, like I was talking about Andreessen Horowitz that started Clubhouse. They've been venture capitalists for years. They've been software designers for years, application builders, developers, et cetera. And so this is just their latest project that they are hoping to get a higher enough valuation off of to sell. And so that's what it is. And so I think of Chantel McKenzie as the holding company. Under that is the PowHER Network, the event company. Under that is the PowHER Network, the full service marketing company. Under that is my speaking and my books. Under that is the social architecture piece where we pull people together. Under that is our merchandise piece where we sell shirts and joggers and hats, et cetera. And so, but all of it is designed to pull together and create community amongst our target audience. And that is what it is. Chantel, the business strategist and organizational development coach that comes in and does that. I mean, those are all things I'm qualified for. I'm a Six Sigma green belt. I'm an engineer. I'm this, I'm that. So, a lot of times we'll leave corporate America and we'll leave these places and we'll like say, well, I'm not going to use that skill no more. And I'm not going to use that skill no more. And I'm not going to use that skill no more. And it's like, I call that your street cred. Like, why would I not use my street cred to I can facilitate, I can teach, I can come in and wire some things, I can do tech, I can do organizational development, I can help you revamp. Like, why would I not use all of those things? And it's so funny because, just by dropping little breadcrumbs here and there along the way, people all of a sudden gain an understanding what I do. And there are days that I sit down and I think, man, God, I get paid for doing this. That's dope. That's really dope. Like, I make a living working for me, doing what I love, helping other people and making their lives better and businesses stronger. And don't get no better than that. So I was frustrated though. And look, this is maturity talking. I wasn't always there. I had a ton of ideas that I thought were great. And there were so many causes and people I wanted to help. The thought that my life should come down to choosing just one purpose felt daunting, confusing, slightly disappointing, and darn near impossible. In the end, I stand by my belief, though, that we are all created to fill one purpose, one specific purpose in the earth. I do believe that. So I believe all those things I just named feed my one specific purpose, which is to help individuals and organizations reach their full potential and their highest destiny. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to make you better. Like, that's it, point blank in the period. So if I am in your life or I am a part of your organization, it is to help you or your organization reach its full potential and highest destiny. When I leave, even no matter what happens between us, you're going to be better because that's what I'm gifted to do. And that's what I'm purposed to do. So I'm never going to leave you worse than how I came in. And that's it, point blank, end of period. And so that's a decision that I made. And that's a decision. That's how I live. That's how I get up every day. That's how I move. And, and when you start moving fully as your authentic self, when you make decisions like that, and like there's no in between, like it's excellence or nothing, it's I'm gonna do it or I'm not, people get real uncomfortable with that because a lot of people, they don't know who they are. They don't know who they want to be. They scared. And so when they see you moving fearlessly in your authenticity and they see you moving fearlessly in your purpose, by sheer nature, it'll just intimidate some people, but you can't let that stop you. You can't dim your light because it's shining in their eye. They need some sunglasses or something. My favorite quote these days is somebody tell me I'm too much. I'd be like, maybe you're not enough. Oh, thank you, Gabrielle. Look, and you've known me since we was kids. And to that point, I think, I didn't necessarily know how to channel it as well when we were kids, but I always had this tough exterior. I always was really focused. And, of course, as you grow and you evolve, you get to know yourself better, but that's who it is. So what I've learned along my journey, because I can be very direct, I can be very to the point, I can be very astute. I crack jokes all the time, but because of the way my voice sounds, people think I'm serious. My son actually called me on this the other day. I was in a car with him and his girlfriend, and I said something and they got really quiet. And I was like, I was just joking. And then he was like, Ma, it's hard to tell when you joking, you sound serious. And I listen, because you can learn from anybody. The best leaders are always teachable. And I was like, yo, maybe that's the issue why some people think like I got it's like, okay, I'm gonna add a little levity to that, because I really thought it was hilarious. And my delivery is that maybe I don't laugh afterwards. And so yeah, so I've just learned to soften my edges. And I've learned to survey who's in the room. I've learned that everyone doesn't have my personality. They're not conditioned how I'm conditioned. And so the way in which I speak to them and speak with them may need to just shift to make sure that my words and what I'm trying to do comes across. Now, that does not mean that I'm going to change who I am. And I just may not be the coach for you. I may not be the marketer for you. And I am fine with that. I am fine with giving you a referral. I am fine with saying, thank you so much. You are so appreciated. But I just don't think this is going to work. And so that's the other thing too. You have to know when to hold them, and you got to know when to fold them. And you have to have the confidence in knowing. And because what happens is we hang on to places, people, environments, jobs, relationships, family members, etc., because we scared of what life looks like without those things. And when you are walking in your authentic truth, you learn to be less fearful of that. And you learn like, yo, no matter what happens, I'm gonna be all right. Now, that's just the way it is. People think it's cold-blooded. They think it's cold-blooded because I'm with you till I'm not. I'm with you till I'm not. I live by a strict code of loyalty and trust. And, you breach trust with me, it's hard to come back. When people show you who they are, I believe them, as Maya Angelou says. So that's that. So during my initial time of frustration, back to being frustrated because I couldn't decide, I took some time and honestly and candidly answered the following question. So we'll end it with this because I'm over 30 minutes. Take some time and some thought, real time, like take some real time, quiet time to answer the following questions. I recommend thinking, journaling, and meditating on them for a few days before you jump in with answers. What happens and doesn't happen in our life starts with our decisions. Therefore, thoughtfully answering these questions will make every other play easier. Decisions are the hardest things to make, especially when it's a choice between where you should be and where you want to be. A wise man said to me, as it relates to relationship, there's a good one and there's a right one. So then I'll analogize that to decisions. There's good decisions and there's right decisions. And so when you're trying to make a decision between where you should be and where you want to be, that's hard because it can feel like, well, I should be at this job, but I want to start my business. And so then that's where strategy comes in. And that's where exit strategy comes in, succession planning comes in, all of the things you need to do to make sure that you can take care of yourself. Like, don't just leap. Don't just be quitting jobs and you ain't got no money, because we energies want their money. People's gas want their money. I don't know who the Texas energy people are, but all of them want their money. You got to eat. You got to keep the roof over your head, clothes on your back. You got to take care of your kids. You have responsibilities. And so you can't just be throwing caution to the wind. To those that reach and get to their ideal life, they become very good at making decisions. There's absolutely no way around it. So the first question is, what do I do today as a career service to others? What would I do today as a career service to others if money was no object? Because again, this is removing the fear factor out. So if money was no object, so let's say you was born an heiress and you inherited, like what would you do with your life? What would you do? I think about Paris Hilton, super rich. Watched her documentary on YouTube, highly recommended. Not going to be what you expect. And she get paid $1 million to DJ. She get paid $1 million to DJ. And plus she's got all these stores all over the world that, most people don't even know about, because in the US, it's not like that. She got all these perfumes. She got all of this stuff. And there's this part where her mom and her sisters are like, when you gonna stop? And she was like, when I hit 1 billion, because there was some childhood trauma that she experienced. I want to ruin the documentary for you, that just made her decide that she wanted to be independent from her family's money. And she never wanted to be in this space that anybody could take anything away from her again. And so it's become kind of this unhealthy obsession that she has. But, she's like, I thought I'd be happy when I reached 10 million. I thought I'd be happy when I reached 100 million. She's like, now I'm shooting for 1 billion. And, I think about, most wealthy people, and they're always thinking about the next evolution of their wealth. And we need to adopt some wealthy people thought processes, habits, etc. Next question. When you're trying to decide on your purpose and you're not sure, or you're trying to decide on where you should start, what are people always coming to you for advice about? Long before I started the business, people were always asking me to write copy. People were always asking me about design. People were always asking me about event planning. People were always I was always the coordinator. I was the chaos coordinator. People were always, even in school, I would tutor people in high school, even in college. I remember I wrote a paper in college at MSOE. And look, I'm about to age myself, but the professor, he taped himself so we could get his honest feedback as he was reading the paper. And he was like crying, reading the paper. I wrote about my grandmother passing from cancer and being, helping her with her in-home hospice care along with my uncle. And, he was just like, never stop writing, oh my God. So that was freshman year composition class at Milwaukee School of Engineering. I was 18 years old. Here I am. I'll be 44 in a few weeks. This book that I'm reading to you guys out of didn't come out till a few years ago. So he said that to me back then. And I knew I wanted to write a book, but I had to decide to make the time to get it done. And that's just how it was. What legacy do you want to leave when you die? A lot of people don't like to think about it. They think of it as a morbid thought. I often tell clients to write your obituary, write your eulogy, write what you want them to say about you when you're no longer here, and then live every day backing yourself into what that looks like. What gap do you see in the world that you want to fill? So many people you are an answer to a problem. You are a solution. So what is the gap? And then if it's a gap that ain't got no money attached to it, baby, that's a hobby. So we talking business here. So but when I think about, I love the movie Joy. I love her story. I can't think of her real name right now, but she made the Wonder Mop, the twist mop that you have to touch it. And I love her story because she just believed in herself. And it was like she was cleaning up some broken glass on a boat and it cut her hands with a towel. And she just realized I could feel there's a gap in the marketplace that I can feel. And that's really, at the time that the PowHER Network launched, there was a gap in the marketplace, in particular in Wisconsin and throughout the country, because we had success everywhere for women's empowerment events. They're everywhere now, but they weren't then. And especially for professional women's empowerment events that were having some real talk about real business and real life issues, and that there was a practicality to the leadership piece of it. What's the vision that you have for your life, both personally and professionally? If you don't have an answer for that, like Helen Keller said, it's a shame to have sight and no vision. And, if you know Helen Keller's story, she was blind. So, don't have sight and no vision. You need to, and vision never changes. Vision should be so big, so scary to you, so far reaching that you can wake up at helping people reach their highest destiny and their full potential. I can do that until the day I die. And then after I die, my kids can continue on that legacy. That's vision. That's vision. You look at some of your favorite corporations' visions. I would think about Kohl's vision statement, Amazon's vision statement, Facebook's vision statement. It's not a tactical thing about what it is that they do. It's about how they want to impact the world. And so think about that. What are you passionate about? Don't nobody want to do nothing that they ain't passionate about. Nah. If you're going to do something you're not passionate about, keep working for somebody else. So it's certain things that I can do, but I won't do. I always use business plans as an example. I hate them. I hate writing them. I hate doing them. hate doing the fiscal analysis of it, hate doing the market analysis. So I don't do it. I can do it. I'm darn good at it. I've had a lot of success with people getting a lot of money, but I don't enjoy it. I'm not passionate about it. And therefore, I don't do it no more. And I make referrals. I also don't write grants. I also don't do fundraising. What else don't I do? I hate admin. I'm a visionary. And so I have people that do that for me. And so if a client hire me and I quickly realize, oh, you needed an admin. Oh no, you didn't mean to hire me, because that's not me. That's not what I do. What world or community problems keep you up at night? I think that's really, really, really important. Get you an intern, Gab. What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? That's that fear factor back. A lot of times we don't go hard. We don't go after it because we think, man, I'm gonna fail. And so what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? What would you do? Allow yourself that dream. Don't quit your daydream. Allow yourself to daydream for a moment of what you would do if you knew it would be abundantly, ridiculously, crazy successful. And then ask yourself, what's stopping you from doing that? And if it's about capital and money, I'll tell you, that day job you got right now, I started looking at my day job as the funder. And I made a lot of sacrifices, vacations, clothes, this, that, because I was the same way we make sacrifices when we have kids. I made a sacrifice to start this business. So after you answer all those questions, I call it soul searching, make a declaration and say to yourself, I've decided to impact the world by. So after you go through all of those mental exercises, I've decided to impact the world by. And that is the end of play 1, you guys, in the Power Playbook. And that's the end of class 1. And so my plan is to every day, if not every other day. There's only 7 plays to go through this with you guys because, and it actually is so funny. Shout out to my girlfriend, Mayer Tao. She bought this book off Amazon for her sister for Christmas. And I honestly haven't read the book in a couple of years. And so then some other people started ordering the book. So one night, a couple weeks ago, I sat down and, I'm in a different space than when I first wrote this. Hey, mama, I'm proud of you too. And I read it because this is what copyright 2017, I think, something like that, 2018. So I'm in such a different space. But when I was reading it, I was like, yo, this is really good. And she texted me, Mayer texted me like, yo, Sean, I bought your book for my sister and I started thumbing through it and I had to end up reading the whole thing. So shout out to you. I love you so much. And it made me look at it and I'm reading the pages like, yo, this was fire. Like I was onto something with this. So I'm thankful for this. And then after that came the devotional that came with it. And so the devotional is not on Amazon. It's on Amazon as a Kindle. It's not on Amazon as a paperback. You can go on our website and buy it or, download either of them electronically. But 21 Days of Power, which I always highly recommend too. Maybe after we end at 7, we'll go through the 21 because I get even deeper. And then the third book is, I wanted to have it out by next month, but the way like how Kevin Hart say, the way his checking account set up, he got to transfer from his savings to his. That's how I feel about the way my writing set up. The way my writing set up is I gotta move time from my clients to my. But it's gonna get out there. It's gonna get out there by spring, and I'm excited about that too. And it's gonna be my most transparent, introspective work that I've done to date. So I'm super excited about that. Okay, it's 1:49. I got 2:00 meeting. Thank you guys for rocking with me. I know I was on a long time. Probably each one of these will be an hour because each class is an hour. Oh, thank you, Gabrielle. I appreciate you so much, babe. And so just stay tuned. And we're going to keep going through them until we get to the end. And like I said, if you want to follow along, the book is on Amazon. I lowered the price to $4 a couple weeks ago. So you can go to Amazon.com, search my name, and it'll get sent to you just like this. It's on Prime. And so if you want to follow along, and that way when I'm reading the questions, it's $4. And so go for it, or you can go to our website and powernetwork.org. And yeah, I think that's about it. All right, you guys, get ready for my 2 o'clock. Peace, love, power. I'm out.